Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from Magoo Investing. Happy Wednesday. The past couple of days, I've been seeing a lot of articles talking about some people on Robinhood have been owning a lot of shares of Hertz. Specifically, there's 100,000 people owning shares of Hertz that has recently declared for bankruptcy. Most of these articles were talking about the fact that most of these people were going to finish these trades with no money if it gets delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. And so seeing this discussion kind of reminded me of one of the main things that got my channel going in the first place, and that is the fact that there's Robinhood top stocks, and you can rank each of these stocks by their popularity. And so in today's video, I wanted to go and kind of talk about the 5 most popular stocks currently on Robinhood. In the past, when I've looked at this, the top stocks were normally some of these really volatile stocks and a lot of weed stocks. And then when I looked at the list just a couple days ago, I was pretty surprised that almost all of these stocks on there were decent stocks. There wasn't anything that I looked at there and was immediately like, ooh, that's a weird one for people to be holding. So in today's video, I wanted to kind of discuss what I've seen with these stocks in the past, kind of discuss what I think about the companies overall, and discuss their potential as a long-term investment. With that being said, I do have to say that I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I'm just a 23-year-old talking about my own opinions about the stock market in my room. Also, if you've been enjoying these videos, I really appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button, as it would help my channel out a lot. Almost 90% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed, so get on that and hit that subscribe button. So the most popular stock on Robinhood right now is Ford, ticker symbol F, and that is with almost 900,000 people currently owning the stock. And before we get started talking about just these stocks on Robinhood, I do want to bring up the fact that we really don't know that much more about some of the data with Robinhood besides how many people are owning it. Does that mean that they each hold 1 share? Does it mean that they own 100,000 shares? We really have no idea, but we just have the number of individuals that own this stock. And so we do have to take this number with kind of a grain of salt, especially because currently Ford is trading in single digits. And it's very possible that some of these stocks have been artificially inflated as there were free stocks given to people that signed up with referral links. And so we're just going to have to take that into account going forward. So one of the really cool things that you can do with the data from Robinhood is that it gets automatically put into this website called robintrack.net. It will be the top link in the description if you want to take a look at it. Basically, what the cool thing that it does is it plots the stock price over time compared to the number of people that own it on Robinhood. So you can see some really interesting things. On the main web page for RobinTrack, it shows some interesting things, like you can see that people were selling their shares of AMD as the stock rose over time, which is people were taking profits. And so when we look at Ford, you can see the fact that it started at around $11, it has fallen and it's now trading for around $8. And you can see the ridiculous spike in the popularity for Ford as the stock fell during the pandemic. So currently the stock is trading for around $7.25, and it's up 22% in the past 5 days, but it's still down around 22% year to date. So it still has a long way to go. Ford was in the news at the beginning of the week because they had some positive things come out about some of the expectations for their next electric truck that was going to be coming out. There's been a lot of news about electric trucks recently. You've had stuff with the Cybertruck, that happened a long time ago. And then you had the Nikola stock, which has kind of popped up on everyone's radar as this kind of potential Tesla killer or a main competitor to Tesla. And so it shot up over 100% in the past couple days as a result of they're opening reservations for buying their electric truck. No money has been spent. They have not made any money at all. The stock has shot up in the past couple days. And so Ford had some positive news. It beat expectations, and it beat what their main competitor from Toyota was going to be putting out later this year. And so Ford, as I mentioned, has been hit pretty hard during the pandemic. Some of the main things is that their factories have been shut down for a long time, and that hurts the bottom line of the company because the main way that the company makes money is when it gets shipped out to dealerships. And the fact that the production lines are being shut down means that the company was struggling. I did see some really positive things that they had a significant amount of cash on hand to protect themselves, but we did have some negative news. When I first kind of looked at Ford a long time ago, one of the really attractive things was that when I first saw it, it was kind of hovering around $10 for a long time, but it did have a very nice and steady dividend. However, that dividend of around 7% is, in my mind, too high of a dividend to be sustainable for most companies. And so when the pandemic started hitting, and so the company announced at the end of March that they were going to be suspending their dividend, and they cut any guidance for 2020. And so this was kind of a big hit to the company. Anytime that a company cuts their dividends, it's never a good thing. And so that was a huge reason why the stock fell, in addition to the main problems that I identified with the pandemic. But going forward, I do see some potential for the short-term play. The stock has rebounded very nicely to $7 from its low back in April. However, when I show the 1-year chart, you can see that things look all right. Not great, but not horrible. Then you go to the 5-year chart, and it's been a constant slide for the past 5 years. And so seeing this decline in the past 5 years is not a good look, especially as we just came out of the longest bull market in history. And auto sales are pretty cyclical, meaning that they follow the overall trend in the economy. And so if things are going well, you kind of expect these companies to do well. Then you go to the all-time chart and you can see how cyclical this company has been in the past. Massive spike going up to around 2000, a crash, a somewhat of a recovery going into 2008, another crash, recovery up until about 2014, 2015, and the slide ever since. And so what I'm seeing with Ford going forward is that if they reestablish a dividend, that'll be a nice reason for maybe some new investors to get involved. But for a long-term investment, the track record that we've seen for the past year is too much for me to consider taking a position. Short term, it has recently bounced from $4 up to $7.25, which is a nice move. However, I just think it's too risky of a stock for me to consider investing in, and I think there's plenty of other better options out there. Let me know what you think about Ford stock, ticker symbol F, in the comment section down below. And the second most popular stock on Robinhood is General Electric, ticker symbol GE, with almost 800,000 people owning the stock. Similar to Ford, when I put the change in popularity over time, the stock shot up in popularity on Robinhood as the pandemic hit and it became the second most popular stock on the platform. Currently the stock is trading for $8 and it is still down 28% year to date, so it's down a little bit more than Ford. On Tuesday, General Electric was down around 5% after news came out that was not looking very good for Boeing. GE supplies a lot of parts for the Boeing planes, and the fact that the 737 MAX planes are grounded indefinitely, and it's maybe not looking as good for Boeing going forward, and things are not looking very good for Boeing and Airbus, as there have not been any new orders for their planes in a long time. And as a result, GE fell on Tuesday because of that. So when you show the 1-year chart, things look a little bit better in the short term compared to Ford. Things look like they're doing pretty well, and then the pandemic just smacked them back down to single digits. And so it looks all right for the 1-year chart. When you go to the 5-year chart, you see some similar problems to Ford. And then you go to the all-time, and it is very similar. You see a nice spike going into 2000, a crash, a little bit of recovery, crash in 2008, recovery, and then it's been falling for the past couple years. Something that I did want to mention is the fact that the stock has never been able to recover to the highs before the previous recession. And so when I see that, the fact that it's not making new highs and it's been continually falling for around 20 years is very bearish for me overall. When I've talked about GE, and actually the only time I've ever talked about GE, one of the main kind of hits against a company, in my own opinion, is the fact that they kind of have their feet dipped into too many different areas. When you look at their revenue by section, their main revenue source comes from aviation, which when aviation is your main income source, things are not going to be going very well. We already talked about that for the news event that came out from yesterday. Going into 2020, there was a lot of hopes going for the aviation section. And you can't predict a pandemic, but at this point, things are looking pretty bleak, and it's not expected that any new orders are going to be coming out until at least 2021. And so when that's your major revenue source, that's not that great. And then there are other three sources, which are health, power, and oil and gas. Those are around 20% each. And so I've talked in the past specifically about companies like Microsoft, how I love that they have kind of an even spread of revenue sources, around 33% for each of their three different fingers of their business. When I look at GE, they don't do any of these sections very well. When I look at Microsoft, the products that they're putting out, their services, their web services are incredible, and all of their parts of their business I think are fantastic. When I look at GE, I don't really feel the same way. And so for this example, I kind of feel like they're stretching themselves too thin. I really wish that they would kind of focus on one different section and do that really well. And so going forward, that's one of the main hits against the company, and is a reason why I partially like Ford a little bit more than GE. But I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about GE stock in the comment section down below. All right, next up, let's talk about my favorite stock in the world, American Airlines, ticker symbol AAL. I've been very outspoken about all the problems going along with American Airlines. However, the whole airline industry has been doing very well for the past 2 weeks, as there's been a lot of optimism and some news events coming out about the demand for airline travel is coming back slowly, but it is coming back. And so I was very interested to see kind of the change in popularity over time for the airline stocks. And it's really interesting. As I put up the chart for the popularity, airlines were not very popular for a long time. And then I think from all the publicity, probably from myself included, talking about them all the time, the popularity for American Airlines spiked, and that makes it the third most popular stock on Robinhood. So currently the stock is trading for around $18, and it's down 37% year to date. So it still has a long way to go to kind of recover the losses that it's seen so far in 2020. I've talked plenty about American Airlines in the past, and if you want to hear my full analysis on the stock, I'll put a link up above right now to my analysis of the whole airline industry, and I talk about American Airlines in depth in that video. But some of the main things you need to know is that their books are absolutely horrible. When I look for a long-term investment in a kind of an industry that's been beaten down, I want financial security. And when I look at American Airlines, I do not see that. One of the biggest things that I see is that their long-term debt to equity ratio is just out of control, currently sitting around 135. At that point, I would never consider taking a position in a company that has that high of a debt to equity ratio. And so I've always talked poorly about American Airlines, and I'm going to continue to do so. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about American Airlines, ticker symbol AAL, in the comment section down below. And while I talked very poorly about American Airlines, they do have a direct competitor that I love, and apparently the people on Robinhood also love them. The fourth most popular stock on Robinhood right now is Delta Airlines, ticker symbol DAL. This has been my favorite airline for the entirety that I've talked about the airline industry. Similar to American, I've talked about it at depth, and I've actually made a video specifically talking about why I took a position at Delta Airlines at around $19. And if you missed that, I will throw that up right now if you want kind of the full analysis on why I love Delta. Some of the main things you need to know is that they are the largest airline, and I think that gives them a very nice boost when things start to open up overall. Also, the stock is trading for around $34, and it's still down 42% year to date. So while the company has moved up significantly over the past week, it still has a long way to go to recover the losses seen in 2020. But the main things that I love about the company is the fact that it's the largest airline. They have very high profit margins, meaning that they're very efficient at taking revenue and converting it into actual income that they're going to hold on to. And when you compare that to American, Delta is significantly better at doing that, and that was one of the main reasons why I like it. Also looking at their long-term debt to equity ratio, American Airlines, 135, Delta is sitting around 2, which is on the higher end of their historical range, but it's not at the point where I'm very worried about it overall. Comparing 2 to 135, I have no worries about Delta for the long-term potential of the company. There's still a lot of risk associated with these airlines, specifically with a second wave of the virus potentially coming. And so we really don't know what's going to happen. There's been a lot of optimism about things opening up, and so far things look really good. And since I've been advocating about the stock since it was around $19, I've made a lot of money on the company, and I hope people have kind of seen the same potential that I've seen in them as well. I've seen a lot of articles about the popularity in a lot of these airlines and cruise stocks that have done very well in the past couple weeks. And so this popularity seen from the retail traders is really interesting because it seems like the popularity of investing has gone up as the lockdowns have gone on. You don't have any sports, people can't really do a lot, and so why not learn about investing? My channel has spiked during this time, and it seems like people are looking to actively invest into their future. But Delta Airlines is one of my favorite stocks, and it will continue to be a part of my portfolio going forward. Let me know what you think about Delta stock, ticker symbol DAL, in the comment section down below. So as I mentioned, when I looked at this most popular list just about a couple months ago, it was a lot of weed stocks. And when I looked at this list, the top 4 stocks I probably could have picked. This 5th stock, I was pretty surprised to see it on here, and that is Disney, ticker symbol DIS. The main reason why I was really surprised to see this stock is it's pretty expensive at $124 compared to the single digits of Ford and GE, and then you have Delta at around 34 and American at around less than 20. And so Disney is pretty expensive, and the fact that it is very popular on Robinhood, which is very notorious for people putting in not a lot of money, I was kind of surprised to see how popular it was. I do have to admit that I have actually taken a position in Disney recently as a result of their earnings report that came out at the beginning of May. That earnings report had some positive things, and it also had some really negative things. And those negatives actually pushed the stock down and was the main reason why I decided to take a position. Those negatives came from the overall damage that was going to be seen from these parks being shut down worldwide. As the tourism industry has been hit, Disney has also been hit significantly. And so there were some positives coming from their streaming services, seen with Disney+, ESPN, and Hulu. And so I saw those positives, and the ability to buy a company like Disney, one of these blue chips, one of these companies that everyone knows about, at a significant discount was very attractive for me. And so at this point, Disney is a significant part of my portfolio. And the fact that this company is so well established and I'm not worried about them really going into a tough time anytime soon, it was one of the main reasons why I decided to take a position. And I was very impressed to see that Robinhood users have also enjoyed the stock and has become very popular. As I show from the chart right now, it has been somewhat popular on the website, but it has really spiked in popularity with the recent pandemic. Let me know what you guys have to say about Disney stock, ticker symbol DIS, in the comment section down below. So there it is. There are the 5 most popular stocks on Robinhood right now. I love the fact that you can sort these companies by the popularity on Robinhood. It doesn't always show the best stocks to own. As I mentioned in the past, there were a lot of weed stocks that have been hit worse than pretty much any sector out there. And so you had that for a while. And when I started my channel up, I was talking about the Robinhood top stocks, and I kind of sorted by this because I wanted to find popular stocks that younger investors like myself were looking at. And now looking at this, it seems to have changed significantly in the past couple months. You have these well-established companies, Ford, GE, American, Delta, and Disney. These are all companies that I would consider owning in my portfolio. Definitely not American, but when I look at Ford and GE, if someone was very passionate about these companies and kind of gave me some reasons why they enjoy the company, I wouldn't fault them for it. I do fault people for taking positions in American because I think you can do so much better. But when I look at this list, I see a wide variety. You have blue chip stocks like Disney, you have some very volatile stocks with the airlines, and then you have some beaten down manufacturing companies with GE and Ford. And so there's plenty of variety there. And so I will probably do some more videos about the popular stocks in Robinhood, but I did want to talk about the 5 most popular stocks right now. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about these 5 stocks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.